First time I came was 1996 as a guest, and then the following year, Roger Staubach asked me to be the co-chair with him, and I just think they do a fantastic job. I've had a relationship with Children's for a number of years prior to that with my own foundation, and I just think it's one of the best events that they put on in Dallas. It's obviously for a great cause, and then I didn't even have kids of my own at the time, and now that I do and see what these parents go through as well as the kids, and like I said on stage, I'll keep coming as long as I keep being asked, and hopefully we don't have to continue with this much longer, but until we find a cure, I'll keep doing it. Yeah, I think I probably get a little too much credit for what I do as a part of it. The people that give so much of their time and their money, and really the stars of this event are the kids, and we get a chance to see them when we have the gala. This year it'll be on April 11th. For those that have not been to this event, they really owe it to themselves to come and support it and see these kids. It's a wonderful evening. But yeah, I just, like all of us, everyone that's here today and elsewhere, when you see what these kids go through and have to endure and not being able to have typical lives like a lot of normal kids that aren't as ill, it pulls on you a little bit. So you do everything you can to try to help out.
Like, you see the kids, like 2 kids they're not cancer patients.
Yeah, I think that's the best part. And when I started my foundation, we were building playrooms within these children's hospitals. Children's here in Dallas was our first one that we put in, and it was for that very reason. We wanted kids when they were, hospitals are scary places, and when they're able to kind of forget their own condition and be kids, it's a great thing to witness. And as good as it's been for those kids, what we found was it was probably even more impactful on the parents to be able to watch their kids, have some levity in their lives and do some things without kind of the hardships that they'd had to endure up to that point. So I think what Children's does is terrific. It's one of the best in the nation, and the people that help put this event on each and every year, they do a fantastic job.
What does it mean to see Dak pick up the baton? What does that mean? Yeah,
well, it's meant a lot. As I mentioned, Roger reached out to me, and then when I called Dak, I told him, I said, I'm making the call to you that Roger made to me, a couple decades ago, and he answered it the same way I did. He wanted to be a part of it, and he'll one day be asking someone else to co-chair along with him, and it'll just continue. But we all owe Roger a real debt of gratitude for what he started and allowed us to be a part of.
What you know of Brian Schottenheimer? Is he ready for this challenge now as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, I don't know if you ever are ready. I hear it's one of those jobs that you think you're ready, but until you get in that seat and really understand everything that goes into it, you're not quite prepared. But he's been coaching a long time. He obviously watched it with his dad. He's got to be as prepared as anyone who's not yet been a head coach can be. And I'm hopeful that he does a great job.
He asked you for advice. What would you tell him, knowing how the operation works?
I think he probably has a better idea these days than I do. So maybe he can give me some advice on how I should answer some of these things.
In addition to Schottenheimer, the job, what do you think of the process and how they went about getting to the head coaching? They really didn't canvass a lot of coaches.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why the reaction from the fans has been what it's been. When you're talking about not having had an official interview with arguably the greatest coach of all time, and then the hottest coach in this hiring cycle in Ben Johnson, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I don't know how much Jerry looked into what he wanted to do when those decisions were made. So it's easy on the outside to try to make conclusions. I think it's probably unfair to a lot of people. But as I've said before, it's one thing if you hire someone that everyone's excited about, for instance, like they are in Chicago. But none of that matters now. Over the next few months it might, as far as how people are talking about your team. But when the season rolls around week 1, whether it's Ben Johnson or Kellen Moore or Brian Schottenheimer, everybody's then being judged on a level playing field, and it's all about winning. So it doesn't matter who won the headlines once the coach was hired. And we'll see. I think Dallas has some really good players. The man here today with Dak Prescott, obviously being one of the key guys, but they've got a lot of good things, a lot of things to like, and I'm hopeful that they can have a heck of a year.
Is it tough year after year to see the Cowboys not in the Super Bowl, or you kind of resign yourself to that? Like, it's going on 30 years now. You guys are going to have your 30-year anniversary of the 95 team.
Well, it's just hard to believe. I mean, I remember in '95 when we won our last Super Bowl that I didn't think we were done then. I thought we had more in us, and I thought we would be back. Obviously, we weren't. But not only were we not back, but here we are almost 3 decades later, and no one's been back. And so I think I speak for the Cowboys faithful in saying that it's been a long time, and this is the Dallas Cowboys, and it's an organization that's had great history, and this team has won a lot of games over the years with a lot of different players, but for whatever reasons they just haven't been able to get it done in the postseason. But I don't think anybody's happy about that. That's been a part of the Cowboys' legacy and what this franchise has stood for so many years. Thank you all.
Hey, Cowboys fan, you probably saw it. Troy Aikman recently gave an interview, and whenever he speaks about the Cowboys, people listen. After all, we're talking about a 3-time Super Bowl champion, a Hall of Famer, and one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever wear the star. Aikman's legacy is deeply tied to the expectations surrounding this team. The Cowboys haven't been to a Super Bowl in nearly 30 years, but the standard he helped set still looms over every season. Fans keep hoping for a return to greatness, yet disappointment keeps piling up. So what did Aikman have to say about the current state of the team and its future? And more importantly, does he believe 2025 could finally be the year? We'll break it all down, but first, do you still consider the Cowboys an elite franchise? Vote in the poll, and let's see what the fan base really thinks. Troy Aikman's connection to the Cowboys isn't just about what he did on the field. Even after retiring, he's remained a key figure in Dallas, not just as an analyst, but as someone who genuinely cares about the community. Alongside Roger Staubach, Aikman has been involved in numerous charitable initiatives, giving back to the city that made him a legend. And he's not the only one. Dak Prescott has also followed in those footsteps, using his platform to support important causes. This commitment to making a difference off the field is something that sets great players apart. But what do you think? Should a player's legacy go beyond football, or is their performance on the field all that really matters? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Troy Aikman didn't hold back when talking about the Cowboys' decision to make Brian Schottenheimer their new head coach. It's a move that caught many fans off guard. After all, Schottenheimer wasn't exactly the hottest name on the market. Aikman pointed out the obvious: Schottenheimer has experience, but is he really the right guy to lead this team back to glory? There were other candidates who seemed like better fits: Ben Johnson, the Lions' offensive mastermind, and even Kellen Moore, who many believe deserved another shot. But instead, Jerry Jones went with familiarity, promoting from within rather than making a bold statement. This choice has left a lot of fans skeptical. Is Schottenheimer the leader who can finally take the Cowboys back to the Super Bowl, or was this just another safe, uninspiring hire? What do you think? Vote in the comments. Do you trust Schottenheimer to turn things around? Yes or no? Troy Aikman also touched on how Jerry Jones handled the hiring process, and let's just say, it wasn't exactly reassuring. Instead of casting a wide net and interviewing the best candidates available, Jones seemed to have his mind made up from the start. Big names like Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel? They weren't even considered. This approach has drawn heavy criticism. Other teams, like the Chicago Bears, took a more methodical route, weighing all options before making a decision. Meanwhile, the Cowboys rushed into a move that feels more like playing it safe than taking a real step forward. So now, the big question is, was this the right call? Or did Jerry Jones make a mistake that could set the team back even further? Let's settle it. Do you think the Cowboys botched the hiring process? Drop a yes or no in the comments. Aikman didn't hold back when reflecting on the Cowboys' heartbreaking Super Bowl drought. 30 years? It's crazy. To think that the last time the Cowboys were at the top of the NFL mountain was back in 1995. And since then? Well, nothing, not even a return to the big game. That period without a Super Bowl has left fans feeling frustrated, and rightfully so. For a team with such a rich history, such a storied legacy, the absence of a championship feels like a heavy burden. Aikman himself pointed out how hard it is for former players who know what it was like to win it all to watch the franchise struggle too, even get close. And it's not just the past players, it's the fans too. They've seen great seasons, incredible plays, and high hopes, but when it matters most, the Cowboys always seem to fall short. So, Cowboys Nation, let me ask you this. Do you think this team still has what it takes to reach the top again? What needs to change for the Cowboys to finally bring home that elusive Super Bowl? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As we look ahead to 2025, the question remains, can the Cowboys break this cycle of frustration and finally return to their glory days? Aikman's insights remind us that the team needs a change in both mindset and management. Dak Prescott's leadership, paired with the right coaching staff, could be the key to unlocking the future success of this team. But it's clear if the Cowboys want to stand at the top again, major changes must happen. Do you believe this is the year? If you're as hopeful as I am, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for all the LATEST updates.